Take him to Mount Moriah, a place where I'll show you, and you give him there offer him as a burnt offering. I can imagine how we love our children, how mothers love that firstborn or secondborn, how we hold them in the hands with that love, fondly, playing with them, kissing them as much as possible, always staring at them. And then God says, that is not yours. Give him a burnt offering. Offer him as a burnt sacrifice. Now, remember, brothers and sisters, a burnt sacrifice required you, the person giving the sacrifice, to literally kill the sacrifice. Abraham had to take Isaac to a place that God was going to show him and kill him. After killing him, put him on wood on the altar and light your own flesh and blood. And Abraham was a disciple of God. Abraham was a follower of God. Did Abraham say no? Let us read something here. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. When God instructed Abraham to take Isaac as a burnt offering to a place that he'll show him, nowhere in my Bible does it tell me that Abraham went into an argument with God. Nowhere in my Bible does it show me that Abraham tried to give excuses to God. But when he received the instruction from God, first thing in the morning as dawn approached, he prepared everything and started on the journey to where God had told him to go. As we read the story further, we'll discover that even after reaching the point, Abraham may be down-crested, heartbroken, but in obedience to God's will, he prepares the altar and takes Isaac and puts him on the altar. And when he's ready now to kill Isaac, God intervenes. What does this tell us? Discipleship has a cost. There are things that we have to let go of in order to follow Christ wholeheartedly. There are things that we have to discard in our lives in order to be the disciples that Christ wants us to be. Forsaking possessions. God is not saying, I want you to be poor. God is not saying, throw away the houses and the money you have. But God is saying, put your money and your houses, your wealth behind. Put me first. In short, use your wealth for the sake of the gospel. Don't take your possessions, your education, your wealth, your status before God. Put God first. Use what He has blessed you with to spearhead the gospel or to propagate the gospel. Let's take an example of the fishermen, Peter and Andrew. They were busy casting their nets here and there. When Christ approached them and said, follow me, they never questioned him. They threw their nets down and began to follow Christ. Now look at this. They may have had their baskets full of fish. That fish was to be sold to bring money. Peter and Andrew forsook the fish. Peter and Andrew forsook their tools, the nets. Peter and Andrew forsook the money, the value of fish, and went to follow Jesus. Discipleship has a cost. You and I are in the same state as the disciples that Christ called, Peter and Andrew. Forsaking your own ambitions. Many of us have ambitions. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a big businessman. So many things that we are planning in this world. But when Christ calls, what is it you are supposed to do? Or what do you put first? Your ambitions or the will of God? Let's look at the sons of Zebedee. You can get this in Matthew chapter 20, verse 20 and 24 to 24. The two sons of Zebedee went with their mother to Jesus and said, Father, he was asking on their behalf. She asked Jesus, when you get into your kingdom, remember my sons. Put one on the left and one on the right. Jesus asked them, you don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink of the cup that I'll drink? And they said, yes. He said, surely you drink from the cup. But what you are asking is not for me. The Father did not grant it. These two gentlemen had their own ambitions. They were young men, but they had offered to go and sit one on the right, one on the left of Jesus. And Jesus said, it's only my Father who can grant this. There are so many things in the world that would have kept them busy. They would have been camel drivers, they would have been fishermen like the other two, they would have been carpenters, they would have been herdsmen, they would have been farmers. But they decided to say, no, we want to sit at the left and the right of Jesus. They wanted to be disciples of Jesus, close to Jesus. But Jesus said, no, drinking the cup that I drink, yes, I'll allow you to drink it. You will. But what you are asking for is beyond me. Forsaking your loved ones. And we'll get this from the book of Matthew chapter 10, verse 37. Jesus is assuring us to say, our enemies, our foes, surely will come from within our homes. The more you draw closer to Jesus, the more you become a proper disciple of Jesus. Even in your home, enemies will rise. Your wife may give you problems. Your husband may give you problems. Your children may give you problems. There'll be no peace in your home as long as you go straight for Jesus. He tells us, he says, he who loves his mother and father more than I, or son or daughter more than I, is not of me, or is not for me. Some of us have forsaken the work of God in order to stay with our families. We would rather choose our families because we are close, we see them every day, walk with them. We cannot do God's work. And Christ is telling us here, he says, he who loves mother or father more than I, or brother or sister, or daughter, or son more than I, is not of me. What is Christ saying? He's not saying hate your family, but he's saying put your priorities right. Our priority, my brother and my sister, is to seek the kingdom of God, do the will of God, and all these other things will be added unto us. We cannot love a creature more than the Creator. We need to love the Creator first, the created second. And Christ is telling us to be a disciple, you are going to lose loved ones, friends, husband, wife, children, close associates, because of the kingdom of God. And once you start losing loved ones for the sake of the kingdom of God, not deliberately where you're just going to hate them because you want to do the work of God, no. But because of your stand with God, let people see your light, let people see you shine, and they'll distance themselves because they are still stuck to the world. Don't run away from friends, but let friends run away from you because you are burning with the gospel. You are a hot evangelist. It is not time to run away from people. In fact, those that you see who are in sin, it is time for us to get closer to them. I like to use an example of magnets. You know, if you take a magnet and rub it in the soil, with your hands you can't see. You just play with it in the soil and you take it out. You see how many particles that you did not expect that will stick to the magnet because of its attraction. Don't be like the light poles. When you put them together, they repel. Be like the one that's going to attract those rubble. You and I, our duty is to attract those who are outside the kingdom of God. Those who don't know Christ, we need to attract them. Within